The small blue-skinned children gathered around the elder Qualathi as night fell on Villar. Their 6 eyes blinked with excitement as the elder raised his long, thin arms. "Tonight, I will tell you of the humans," the elder said in a low voice. The children shivered with delight. This was their favorite scary story. The humans lived on a world called Earth, far from our peaceful systems. They were violent creatures who fought over everything. They had only 2 eyes, but those eyes were always looking for ways to hurt others. They had only 2 arms, but those arms built terrible weapons. The children gasped. A young Qualethi named Vextor leaned forward. "What happened to them, Elder Curavan?" Vextor asked. "They destroyed themselves, of course," the elder replied. "Just as they were learning to leave their planet, they had a great war. Their world burned. Not one human survived. This is why we Qualathi must always choose peace. We must never let anger guide our choices." The children nodded, their lesson learned. As they left to sleep, Vextor stayed behind. "Elder, when did the humans destroy themselves?" he asked. "Over 200 years ago," the elder said. "Now, off to bed." Vextor walked home, looking up at the stars. He wondered if the humans had really been as bad as the story said. Far away on the planet Earth, Zora Beck stood in a large room filled with machines and screens. She was not dead. None of the humans were dead. Earth was very much alive, though it had been through hard times. "How are the engine tests going?" Zora asked, pushing her brown hair out of her eyes. Her friend Keith Norris looked up from a computer. "Better than yesterday. I think we're close." Zara nodded and walked to the large window. Outside, a ship sat on a launch pad. It was not very big, but it was special. If it worked, it would be the first human ship to travel faster than light. It would take humans to the stars. "Do you ever wonder what's out there?" Zara asked. Keith joined her at the window. "Every day. But we've sent signals for years. No one has answered." "Maybe no one is listening," Zara said. "Or maybe they don't want to talk to us." What Zara and Keith didn't know was that Earth was trapped. After the war that almost destroyed their world, alien watchers had put an invisible wall around Earth's solar system. They thought humans had killed themselves off, but when they saw some had lived, they decided to keep them trapped, like animals in a zoo. The next morning, Vextor went to the Great Library. He was a student of history, but today he wasn't looking for schoolwork. He wanted to know more about humans. He found old records that talked about the human war. But something was strange. The records didn't match. Some said humans died out. Others talked about watching Earth after the war. Why watch a dead planet? Vextor copied some files and left quickly. He didn't notice another Qualathi watching him from behind a shelf. Back on Earth, Linda Owens walked into Zora's lab. Linda wore a uniform. She worked for Earth's Defense Forces. "Director Winters wants an update," Linda said. "The government is getting nervous about this project." Zora sighed. "Tell Frank we're ready for a test flight next week." "Will it work?" Linda asked. "I think so," Zora said. "The math checks out. If it works, we can go further than anyone has ever gone. We can look for other life." "And if we find it?" Linda asked. "We say hello," Zara replied with a smile. "What else would we do?" That night, both Vextor and Zara looked up at the stars. Vextor wondered if the scary stories about humans were true. Zara wondered if anyone else was out there looking back at her. Neither knew that very soon, their worlds would crash together. The humans would break free. The bedtime tales would come alive. And the galaxy would learn that sometimes nightmares are real. The day of the test flight arrived. Zara had not slept much. She checked everything on the ship they named Harbinger one last time. "All systems are good," Keith said it as he settled into the pilot's seat. "Ready when you are." Linda strapped herself into the seat next to him. "Director Winters says we have full approval. If this works, we make history." Zara took a deep breath and sat down behind them. "Let's do this." The ship rose from the launch pad. It was smooth and quiet, not like the old rockets. Soon they were above Earth, looking down at blue oceans and white clouds. Starting the FTL drive, Keith said. His fingers moved across the controls. 3, 2, 1. The stars stretched into lines. Then came a flash of light. The Harbinger shook, but held together. When the shaking stopped, they were somewhere else. Not just a different place in the solar system. They were beyond the invisible wall that had trapped humanity. It worked, Zara whispered. We did it. They looked at the stars. They were different here. Earth's sun was just another small star in the distance. I'm picking up something, Linda said, looking at a screen. It's big. And it's moving. Not far from them, a Qualathi research ship drifted through space. Inside, a crew of scientists studied the strange area where signals ended. They had been watching this spot for years. It was where the human quarantine met normal space. Nothing unusual today, said Captain Lorvin. Just like every day. Then alarms began to sound. The crew ran to their stations. Something came through the barrier. The crew member shouted. Something from the human system. Captain Lorvin could not believe it. Impossible. Show me. On their screen, they saw the Harbinger floating in space. It was small, but clearly not a natural object. The humans are supposed to be dead, Lorvin said. His voice shook. They cannot have built this. Vextor was on the ship too. He had been given a job to study the barrier. Now he stared at the screen in shock. They lived, he said. The bedtime tales were wrong. The captain grabbed a device. I must warn the council. The nightmare creatures have escaped. On the Harbinger, Linda pointed at the alien ship. We're not alone. Keith's mouth fell open. That's not human-made. Zara felt her heart beat faster. First contact. We need to talk to them. She turned on the communication system. This is Zora Beck from the Earth ship Harbinger. We come in peace. On the Qualethi ship, the message played through speakers. The aliens had never heard a human voice before. It sounded strange to them. It's trying to talk to us, one crew member said in fear. What do we do? Captain Lorvin was already sending emergency signals to every Qualethi ship in the area. Do not respond. The humans are dangerous. We must contain them again. Vextor looked at the small human ship, but they said they come in peace. That's how they trick you, the captain said. The tales say humans always lie. Zora tried again. Please respond. We mean no harm. We only want to meet you. When no answer came, she looked at her friends. Maybe they don't understand us. Or maybe they're scared, Linda said. We have no idea what they think about humans. Keith checked the controls. More ships are coming. Big ones. Zara felt cold. Their first meeting with aliens wasn't going as she had hoped. We should go back. Tell Earth what we found. Too late, Keith said. They're surrounding us. The Harbinger was now trapped in a circle of alien ships. The Qualathi were sending messages across the galaxy. The nightmare has awakened. The humans have broken free. News of the human ship spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. On the Qualethi homeworld of Vilar, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The humans have escaped their containment, said Council Leader Dravmore. His voice echoed in the large round hall. This is the greatest threat our galaxy has faced in centuries. Representatives from 12 alien species sat in tall chairs around the room. Many looked afraid. How did they build an FTL ship? Asked a representative from the lizard-like Shrell. They were barely using rockets when we contained them. Humans adapt quickly, said Dravmore. That is why they are dangerous. That is why we contained them after their war. The Mreshti representative, a small being with purple skin, spoke softly. Perhaps we should try to speak with them. They have had time to change. No. Dravmore slammed his hand down. The humans destroyed half their world in war. They cannot be trusted. They must be contained again or destroyed. Back on Earth, Director Frank Winters received the message from the Harbinger. He called an emergency meeting of Earth's leaders. Our ship made contact with aliens, Frank told them, but not the way we hoped. They seem afraid of us. The room filled with voices, some worried, some excited, some angry. Why would they fear us? Asked one leader. They don't know us. Frank showed them the data from the Harbinger. It seems they do know us, or think they do. And for some reason, they have been keeping us trapped in our solar system. A woman stood up. We need to bring our people home and prepare our defenses. If these aliens see us as a threat, they might attack. Frank nodded. I've already sent the order for the Harbinger to return. But we have only one FTL ship. If the aliens come in force, we cannot stop them. On the Harbinger, Zara and her crew tried to find a way out of the circle of alien ships. We could try to talk again, Zara said. Linda shook her head. They aren't listening. Look at how they're positioned. These are military formations. Keith studied the control panel. I think I can get us out of here. The FTL drive is still working. But we'll need to be very precise. Zara nodded. Do it. We need to warn Earth. On the Lid Kulathi ship, Admiral Xorlat gave orders. Keep them surrounded. The containment ships are coming. They will create a new barrier. Vextor stood nearby. He was not supposed to be on the bridge, but in the confusion, no one noticed him. Admiral, he said, what if the humans just want to talk? What if the stories about them are wrong? Admiral Xorlat turned to him. Young scholar, you do not understand. Humans are not like us. They are unpredictable and violent. The ancient records are clear. But the records I found had conflicts, Vextor argued. Some said the humans died out. Others said they lived. Which is true? Enough, the Admiral shouted. Return to your station. Suddenly, alarms sounded again. The human ship is powering up. A crew member called out. The Harbinger's engines glowed bright blue. Then it shot forward, slipping between two Kulathi ships. There was a flash of light, and it was gone. They escaped. Admiral Xorlat was furious. Track them. Vextor slipped away in the confusion. He had to find the truth about humans. Too many things didn't make sense. Across the galaxy, fear spread. Species that had never thought about humans were now terrified of them. Parents told their children, be good, or the humans will get you. The Galactic Council sent ships to strengthen the barrier around Earth. But it was too late. The Harbinger had returned home with its news. On Earth, Frank Winters looked at the data from the Harbinger. So we're not alone, but we're not welcome either. Zara nodded. They've been keeping us prisoner in our own solar system, and they're afraid of us. Then we'll have to show them, Linda said, that they're right to be afraid. The Galactic Council gave Admiral Xorlat a new mission. Capture the human ship, Council leader Dravmore told him. We must study their technology and learn how they broke through the barrier. Admiral Xorlat bowed, and the humans on board. Bring them to Villar for study, Dravmore said. But be careful. They are more dangerous than you know. The Admiral gathered his best ships and crews. 5 large warships and 10 smaller fighters formed his fleet. They moved toward Earth's solar system, ready to break through the weakened barrier. Vextor requested to join the mission. I want to study humans up close, he told the Admiral. I have been learning their language from old records. The Admiral agreed. Your knowledge might be useful, but stay back when we find them. On Earth, Frank Winters called Zara, Keith, and Linda to his office. We've detected alien ships approaching. They'll be here in 2 days. Zora looked worried. We need more time. The Harbinger is our only FTL ship. We have other ships, Frank said. Not as fast as yours, but armed. He showed them a screen with 12 Earth ships. We've been building these in secret, just in case. In case of what? Keith asked. In case we weren't alone, Frank answered. In case what was out there wasn't friendly. Linda nodded. Smart, But these ships can't go faster than light. We'll be fighting in our own system. Not exactly, Frank said. We've installed your FTL technology on 2 of them. They're not tested yet, but they might work. Zara studied the screen. That gives us 3 FTL ships against their fleet. Not good odds. We don't want to fight, Frank said, but we won't let them trap us again either. The next day, Zara and her crew boarded the Harbinger again. 2 more ships, the Guardian and the Defiance, would join them. Their mission was to meet the alien fleet before it reached Earth. Remember, Frank told them before they left. Try to talk first. We want peace if possible. Zara nodded. But we'll be ready if they don't. The 3 human ships left Earth behind. They moved faster than light, jumping to a point near the edge of the solar system. There they waited for the aliens to arrive. On Admiral Xorlat's flagship, sensors detected the human ships. 3 vessels. The crew member reported. 1 matches the ship that escaped. The other 2 are new. The Admiral was surprised. 3 FTL ships. How did they build them so quickly? Vextor studied the sensor readings. Maybe they had them already. Maybe they have been preparing for a long time. Preparing for what? The Admiral asked. They didn't know about us, didn't they? Vextor wondered. What if they detected the barrier long ago? What if they've been planning to break free? The Admiral didn't answer. He was busy giving orders to his fleet. Surround them. Disable their engines. I want those ships intact. The alien fleet moved forward. The human ships held their position. They're coming, Keith told Zara on the Harbinger. 15 ships. Zara opened a communication channel. This is Zara Beck of Earth. We wish to talk peacefully. For a long moment, there was no answer. Then a voice came through, speaking rough but understandable English. This is Admiral Xorlat of the Galactic Council Fleet. The voice was deep and strange. Your ships will power down and prepare to be boarded. Zora looked at Linda. Linda shook her head. We can't let them take our ships, Linda said quietly. If they learn all our secrets, Earth will have no defense. Zara nodded and spoke to the Admiral again. We cannot surrender our vessels, but we are willing to meet and talk on neutral ground. The Admiral's answer was quick. There is no neutral ground with humans. You will surrender, or we will take your ships by force. Keith looked at his controls. They're moving to surround us, just like before. Zara made a quick decision. Plan B, tell the Guardian and Defiance to follow us. She looked at Keith. Take us into that asteroid belt. We can hide there while we think of a new plan. The 3 human ships suddenly shot forward, racing toward a thick belt of asteroids nearby. The chase had begun. The 3 human ships weaved between large rocks in the asteroid belt. Keith's hands moved quickly over the controls of the Harbinger. They're still following, Linda said, watching the screen. But they're holding back. They're afraid of the asteroids. Zara nodded. Good. That gives us time to think. Inside the belt, they found a hollow asteroid big enough to hide a ship. The Harbinger slipped inside while the Guardian and Defiance hid in nearby spots. Now what? Keith asked. We can't stay here forever. Zara had no clear answer. We need to learn more about them. Why are they so afraid of us? Why did they trap Earth? On Admiral Xorlat's ship, the crew watched the asteroid belt carefully. We lost them, the crew member said. The rocks block our sensors. The Admiral frowned. Send in the small fighters. Find those ships. Vextor stood nearby, thinking. Admiral, may I study the human communications we received? Why? The Admiral asked. Their words might tell us their plans, Vextor said. I've studied their language patterns. The Admiral agreed. Vextor went to a quiet room and listened to Zora's messages again and again. There was something in her voice. Not hate or anger, but something else. Curiosity. Hope. As Vextor worked, the fighters entered the asteroid belt. They moved slowly, checking each shadow and crack. Inside the hollow asteroid, the crew of the Harbinger picked up strange signals. "Look at this," Linda said. "These signals are coming from the outer edge of the system, but they're not from the alien fleet." Zara studied the readings. "It's another ship, and it's trying to stay hidden, just like us." Keith moved closer. Who would be hiding from the alien fleet besides us? Zara made a decision. "Let's find out. Send a tight beam message to those coordinates. If they're not with the fleet, maybe they'll talk to us." Linda sent the message. For a long time, there was no answer. Then a reply came through. "This is Captain Trell of the Mreshti scout ship Farseeker. Who are you?" Zara took a deep breath and answered. "This is Zora Beck of the Earth ship Harbinger. We're trying to avoid the Galactic Council fleet." There was a pause before the reply came. "Humans. The Lost Ones. This changes everything." "Lost Ones," Keith whispered. "What does that mean?" The next message from the Mreshti ship was urgent. "You must come to us. We have much to tell you. The Council has been lying for centuries." Linda looked doubtful. "It could be a trap." "I don't think so," Zora said. "Why hide from the fleet if they're working together?" They decided to risk it. Keith guided the Harbinger out of its hiding place, careful to avoid the searching fighters. The Guardian and Defiance stayed hidden as backup. A Harbinger moved slowly to the edge of the system. There, behind a small moon, they found the Mreshti ship. It was smaller than the Harbinger, with smooth purple sides that reflected little light. "They're allowing us to dock," Keith said in surprise. Zara, Keith, and Linda put on spacesuits, just in case. They entered the alien ship through an airlock. Inside, they'd met Captain Trell. The Mreshti was short, with purple skin and large eyes. It wore a simple uniform with strange markings. "Humans," Captain Trell said, looking at them with wonder. "I never thought I would meet you." "You speak our language," Zara said in surprise. "We have studied you for years," Trell replied. "Just as we studied ourselves when the Council told us we were too dangerous for the stars." "You too?" Linda asked. "They contained your species as well." Trell nodded. "Many years ago, but we escaped as you have, and we learned the truth that the Council hides." "What truth?" Zora asked. "The Galactic Council, led by the ancient Dolvani, does not fear you because you are violent," Trell said. "They fear you because you are like us." "Like you how?" Keith asked. "Adaptable, quick to learn, able to change," Trell explained. "Species that can evolve quickly are a threat to their power." Zara felt cold. "So the bedtime tales, the stories about violent humans. All lies," Trell said, "created to justify keeping you caged." Captain Trell led the humans to a small room on the Mreshti ship. The walls showed moving images of stars and planets. "Let me show you what we have learned," Trell said. The images changed to show a large, beautiful planet. "This is the home world of the Dolvani, the oldest species in the Council." "They look peaceful," Zara said, watching tall, graceful beings move through crystal buildings. "They are peaceful now," Trell agreed, "but they were not always so. Long ago, they fought terrible wars. Their bodies began to fail. Their lifespans grew shorter. The images changed to show Dolvani in special rooms, connected to machines." "What are they doing?" Linda asked. "They found a way to take the evolutionary strength from other species," Trell explained. "The energy that makes us adapt, that makes us learn and grow. They use it to extend their own lives." Keith's face showed anger. "They're stealing from other species." "Yes," Trell said. "They contain the most adaptable species they find. They tell the galaxy these species are dangerous. Then they slowly drain them." "That's why Earth was contained," Zara whispered. "Not because we were violent, but because we adapt quickly." "Exactly," Trell said. "After your world war, when you were weak, they put the barrier around your system. They thought all humans had died. When they found some still lived, they kept you contained and began to drain your potential. Linda stood up. We need to tell Earth. We need to warn everyone. Yes, Trell said. But the Council controls all communication channels. If you try to send a message, they will find us. Zara thought for a moment. We need proof. Something we can show the galaxy. There is a Council facility nearby, Trell said. It collects and processes the energy they take. If we could get inside, we could find the proof. Meanwhile, on Admiral Xorlat's ship, Vexter made a discovery. He had been studying old records about humans and found something strange. Admiral, he said, entering the bridge, I found something you should see. The Admiral looked annoyed. We are in the middle of a search. This is important. Vexter showed him a datapad. These are the original reports from when Earth was first contained. They don't match what we were told. The Admiral took the pad and read it. His face changed. This says the humans were contained because they showed unusual adaptation abilities, not because they were violent. Yes, Vextor said. And there's more. The same was done to the Mreshti and 3 other species, all contained because they adapted quickly. Admiral Xorlat looked troubled. Why would the Council lie about this? I don't know, Vextor said. But I think we should find out before we capture the humans. The Admiral was quiet for a long time. Then he said, keep this to yourself for now. I need to think. Back on the Mreshti ship, Zara, Keith, and Linda worked with Captain Trell on a plan. They would sneak into the Council facility using a Mreshti supply ship. The facility is on a small moon, Trell explained. It has few guards. They don't expect anyone to find it. Zora contacted the Guardian and Defiance. Stay hidden. We're going with the Mreshti to find proof of what the Council has been doing. On the moon, the Council facility stood alone in a barren landscape. It was a large metal building with few windows. Inside, machines hummed as they processed the stolen energy from contained species. The Mreshti supply ship landed at a small dock. Trell, Zara, Keith, and Linda walked out, wearing Mreshti worker clothes. Act normal, Trell whispered. The guards rarely check workers. They passed through the entrance with no problems. Inside, Trell led them down long hallways to a central room. There, large tubes filled with glowing energy connected to a central machine. Look, Trell pointed to labels on the tubes. Each one comes from a contained species. Zora found the tube labeled human. It glowed brighter than the others. They're taking our potential, she said quietly, our ability to grow and change. Linda took out a small device and began to record everything. We need to send this to everyone, she said. The whole galaxy needs to see what the Council is doing. As they worked, an alarm suddenly sounded. Red lights flashed through the facility. We've been discovered, Trell said. We need to leave now. But when they turned to go, they found guards blocking their path. The guards held weapons pointed at them. Behind the guards stood Admiral Xorlat, and beside him was Vextor, staring at the humans with wide eyes. Zara stepped forward, facing Admiral Xorlat. Now you see the truth. This is why your Council fears us. The Admiral looked at the glowing tubes. His face showed confusion and anger. This cannot be right. The Council would not do this. They have been doing it for centuries, Trell said. To my people, to humans, to others. Vextor moved closer to the tubes, reading the labels. Mreshti, human. Krell, Vortax, Sandori. He turned to the Admiral. All species that adapt quickly. The guards still held their weapons, waiting for orders. Admiral, Vextor said quietly. The records I showed you. Remember, this matches what we found. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Admiral Xorlat lowered his head. I have served the Council all my life. I believed we were keeping the galaxy safe. You were lied to, Linda said, just like everyone else. The Admiral looked at the guards. Lower your weapons. Sir, one guard said in surprise. Lower them, The Admiral repeated. "We need to think about what we found here." Keith stepped forward. "We don't have time to think. The facility knows we're here. More guards will come." "He's right," Zara said. "We need to get this information out now." Linda held up her recording device. "I have everything. But how do we share it with the galaxy?" Vextor pointed to a control panel across the room. "That's a broadcast station. It can send messages on all council channels." "Can you use it?" Zara asked him. Vextor nodded. "I think so." Admiral Xorlat made a decision. "Go. My guards and I will hold off any reinforcements." Vextor, Zara, Keith, Linda, and Trell ran to the broadcast station. Vextor's fingers moved quickly over the controls. "Give me the recording," he said to Linda. She handed him the device. He connected it to the panel. "This will send the images to every council world. Every ship, every station." "Do it," Zara said. Vextor pressed a button. Lights flashed across the panel. The recording began to play on screens throughout the facility. The truth about the Council's lies and the harvesting of evolutionary energy spread across the galaxy. On Villar, in the Great Council Chamber, screens suddenly showed the facility. Council leader Dravmore stood in shock as the images played. "Shut it down," he shouted. "Stop the broadcast." But it was too late. Representatives from all species saw the truth. They saw the tubes. They heard Zara and Trell explain what the Dolvani had been doing. In the facility, sounds of fighting came from the hallway. Admiral Xorlat and his guards were holding off Council security forces. "We need to go," Keith said. "Now." They ran from the broadcast room toward the exit. In the hallway, they found Admiral Xorlat wounded but still fighting. "Go," he shouted to them. "Get to your ships. Spread the truth." Zara didn't want to leak him. "Come with us." The Admiral shook his head. "My place is here. I must answer for my part in this." They ran to the dock where their ships waited. As they reached the Mreshti supply ship, more guards appeared. "Stop them," a voice shouted. Linda pulled out a small weapon and fired back, giving them cover. They made it into the ship just as blasts hit the dock around them. "Get us out of here," Zara told Trell. The Mreshti ship lifted off, racing away from the moon. Behind them, other ships began to follow. "We need to get back to our ships," Keith said. "The Guardian and Defiance are still waiting." "And then?" Linda asked. "Then we go home," Zora said. "Earth needs to know what's happening. The Council will be in chaos, but they'll still try to keep us contained." Trell checked the ship's communication system. "It's working. The broadcast is everywhere. Many are already questioning the Council." Vextor looked out at the stars. "I have lived my whole life believing humans were monsters. Now I see the real monsters were those who taught me to fear you." Zara put a hand on his shoulder. "Fear is a powerful tool. The Council used it well." "And now?" he asked. "Now we use truth," Zara said. "And we free everyone they've caged." 3 months later, the large room in the old council building on Villar was filled with representatives from 20 different species. At the center table sat Zara, Director Frank Winters, and Captain Trell. They were leading the meeting that would decide the future of the galaxy. "The containment systems have been shut down around all worlds," Frank reported. "Earth, the Mreshti homeworld, and 3 other planets are free." "What about the Dolvani?" asked a representative from the lizard-like Shrell. Zara stood up. "Their leaders are being held for trial." Many didn't know what was happening. They were told the same lies as everyone else. Outside the building, crowds gathered to watch the meeting on large screens. Some carried signs. Some just watched in silence. The galaxy was still in shock from learning the truth. On Earth, humans celebrated their freedom. Ships were being built. People were preparing to explore the stars. But they were careful too. The galaxy wasn't all friendly. Keith and Linda had returned to Earth to help train pilots and soldiers, just in case they were needed. Vextor had become an ambassador between humans and Qualathi. He worked hard to change the old stories about humans. The next item, Frank said in the meeting room, is what to do with the harvesting technology. This was the hardest question. The machines that took evolutionary energy from other species were still in the facility where Zara had found them. "We should destroy them," said Captain Trell. "They have caused too much pain." "But they could be used for good," said another representative, "to help species that are dying out." Zora listened to all sides. She knew what humans would say: keep the technology as protection. If someone tried to contain them again, humans would be ready. But was that the right choice? As the debate went on, a small Qualathi child stood outside the council building with her parent. She watched the humans on the screen. "Are humans still monsters?" the child asked. The parent was quiet for a moment. Humans became the nightmare the council always feared, they finally said, but not because they were violent, because they freed those who were imprisoned, because they exposed the lies. Inside the meeting, Zara made her decision. She stood up. "The harvesting technology should be locked away," she said. "Not destroyed, but not used either. Its existence will remind us what happens when some think they are better than others." The room was quiet. Then, one by one, the representatives nodded. "We will build a museum," Frank added, "to show what happened, to make sure no one forgets." Later that day, Zara stood on a balcony looking out at the beautiful city of the Qualathi. Vextor joined her. "What will humans do now?" he asked. "Now that you're free." Zara smiled. "Explore, learn, meet everyone we can. Some species are still afraid of you," Vextor said. "The bedtime tales about humans were told for many years. Then we'll show them who we really are," Zara said. "Not the nightmare in the stories, but not harmless either." "What are you then?" Vextor asked. Zara thought for a moment. "We're human. We adapt. We change. We learn from our mistakes, and we don't stay in cages." Across the galaxy, the old order was changing. The council was being rebuilt, with representatives from all species having equal voices. The Dolvani were learning to live without stolen energy, and humans were venturing out among the stars, making friends and, yes, sometimes enemies. In schools on many worlds, teachers changed how they taught history. The story of how humans broke free and exposed the truth became a lesson about questioning what you're told, about looking for the truth even when it's hidden. And at night, when children were tucked into bed, the stories changed too. Humans weren't the monsters under the bed anymore. They were the ones who opened the cage door and set everyone free. The nightmare had come true, but it wasn't the nightmare anyone expected.